Phil Hensley on Over to You.
It certainly is. Good evening to you. Welcome along. Well, I've done me 2 hours on drive time. I'm now joined in the studio by Victor Sachs, HCR's very own money man. Evening, Victor.
Good evening, Bill. Nice to see you.
Yeah, merry everything to you.
Yes, Merry Christmas to you as well, sir.
And let's hope we do have a prosperous new year, as people say.
That's the plan. I wish it was in my control, but it isn't.
Victor, we're going to have a little recap on what you've been talking about this year on the financial spot. But I think we should really start off with something that's probably close to a lot of people's hearts this time of year. That's getting in debt.
Yes.
The average amount of money that people spend at Christmas is £700 or £800, and that's a lot of money to come by.
It is a hell of a lot of money to come by, especially as sometimes it can take people maybe a year or even 2 years to actually pay that off. And then you start, adding in the interest that gets levied, and Christmas does come around again next year, and maybe it's another £800 or £1,000 that's spent this time round, because maybe we want to make it better than the last time. And I guess at this time now there's people wrapping up, or maybe they've wrapped and sent their presents off to Santa, ready for them to deliver. All we can hope is that maybe next year, when Christmas comes around again, that it's a real hard look at the bank account, and maybe even try, if possible, to start putting money away in January, just whatever it is, just to try and cushion that blow. You hope.
I mean, just a couple of quid a week.
Whatever it is, no one can reach into anyone's pocket and say you should save, X, Y, Z a month. And I think it's something. If anyone's listening now, will go, yeah, we know that. What I'm saying is not rocket science. The actual application of it is difficult, because it means that something in the month perhaps has got to be put on, or something maybe not spent so much. But it is the whole budget plan, and if we take if we could take a helicopter and look at the country, it's exactly what governments past and present and future are trying to do, is budget and balance the books. And sometimes it means that somewhere where we don't want to cut down has to be cut down, in order that things are created to be able to spend somewhere else. It's very difficult to turn around and say to someone, no, don't go mad, or don't enjoy and overindulge. That's what we know as Christmas is all about. It's a time to financially let out that belt loop, to finally just go, do you know what, we've been managing really well all year round, and let's really kick back and enjoy ourselves. It's been a struggle, it's been tough, and people will do that. And then it's credit cards and maybe even Wonga.com, which, as I said when I covered this a few months ago, there's nothing right, wrong, or bad or indifferent. It certainly stops someone going to back in the day, a man or a person with a flat nose and a baseball bat to try and borrow money off of, where it was completely unregulated. At least now that there's some regulation, and that there's a governing body that's watching these people and how much they're charging. But it's a horrendous amount, and it is a horrendous amount of interest that these companies charge, because they're taking the biggest risk that maybe someone might not be able to pay them back. They're not saying, well, I'll lend you this money, but in return, can I have your house, or can I have an asset? They're not doing that, because generally, unfortunately, people don't have the asset, because if they did, they'd probably sell it or borrow against it beforehand. And it's not the right. No one wants to talk about these things at this time of year, when it should be a chance to celebrate and enjoy families coming together. Although certain people might be sitting there not looking forward to families coming together, but it is a time when you don't want to be looking at these kind of things. But unfortunately, come mid-January, when that credit card bill hits the mat, and there it is, and it could be a year, 18 months, or 2 years before it's paid off. If there's any way, shape, or form that I could reach out to someone or reach out to everyone and just say, look, just try and think. If you're going to buy it, wait till January. Maybe the sales there, maybe buy the Christmas cards in January. No one wants to do that, but they're going to be going cheap, aren't they? Let's be honest. So it's using the head. If we've got a credit card bill, have a look around on the internet. There are plenty of credit card companies that will say transfer your balance, maybe pay 0% interest. So if you've got a balance, at least if you're paying £100 off of it, it's reducing that bill by £100, not by about 30 quid by the time an interest is applied of some description.
Well, someone said to me, ring up your credit card company and negotiate your interest rate down. And I rang up my credit card company and, excuse me, and pressed a button that said, if you're thinking of leaving us, press number 4. And I got through to this team of people. Excuse me a second. Have a good cough. They said, no, please don't leave us. Let's have a look at your account. And they reduced my interest I was paying by very nearly half. It was 19 or something % I'd been paying, and they got it down to just over 9. So that's another bit of advice I'd give anybody.
It's the best advice in the world to anyone who's looking at it thinking, every time I pay £100, because that they're charging 19 or 20% interest, and perhaps there's an outstanding amount as well that's also being charged, the interest. So you add on, you pay £100. When you look at it, there may only have been £50 or £60 that's actually been cleared off. And as all the credit card statements will say at the bottom, if you only pay the minimum payment, it's going to take you, well, they don't say it's going to take you a month of Sundays, but it will take you a very long time to pay off even a small amount. But doing what you said, Bill, making contact is where 90% of people need to do in the first place before this tiny issue or whatever it is gets massive and out of control. To give them a call and say either, hey, I'm thinking of leaving, I've been offered, I've secured a 0% balance transfer. What can you do? I know I've got to fill out a new application form. I'll do it, but is there anything you can do? And that's certainly one way for those people out there that have, have the balance and have the wherewithal to be able to maintain and keep those payments and maybe make overpayments.
Well, I can tell you, I did that.
Yeah.
I said I've been offered something else with 0, and they gave me 6 months free 0 interest with the particular card company that I'm with.
Yeah, it's
worth asking.
Absolutely worth asking. But more importantly, if things, no one knows what the future holds. If things do become, a bit tight, and we have over-exuberated at Christmas, and that bill is looking rather large, and you're looking at the minimum repayments and everything else, or you want to start making payments down, you can give them a call and, yes, you might have to tell them your income. Yes, you might have to tell them your expenditure. But at the end of the day, if they're going to come to an arrangement or an agreement with you as to how much and how much interest possibly that you can be charged going forward, because you're not going to move your card, you just want to be with them and get them to help you manage your payments down, they're more than happy to, they want you to call them and talk to them. And I know lots of clients who got themselves in a bit of a pickle with their credit card, picked up the phone and said it was the best day's work they ever did, and just a great stress reliever, and that enables you to enjoy your turkey and your stuffings and all your trimmings without the financial worries, hanging over your head.
I'll tell you what I haven't played, Victor.
The Financial Spot, sponsored by RGL on 01733 232249. Or why not visit our website, rgl-ifa.co.uk. RGL, making money matters simple.
Yeah, excellent. If you're just joining us, it's Bill Hensley sitting in for Scott Phoebe, talking to our very own HCR money man, Victor Sachs. Now, Christmas is a bit of a time, but Christmas and at the end of the year, when we're coming into a new year, is a bit of a time for reflection, isn't it?
Yes.
What should I be reflecting on money-wise?
Well, certainly what we've, what we've just been speaking about. What have I spent? How did I spend that? What's happened? And
how did I get in the doo-doo?
Yeah, basically. And again, there'll be people sitting there going, well, you try and live on what I'm living. And I do. I get that. I 100% get that. And it's just trying to look at, well, okay, what have I done? And if someone is, then it is, we've overdone it somewhere. We've overcooked. You know, if we I look at my parents would have turned around and said, you know, you earn a shilling and spend, well, 4 pennies of it, not 5. You know, the old adages were right and true. It's very difficult now, but if you're going overdrawn or you're spending more, then something needs to change. And that's certainly, you know, point for reflection. What's happened? What's going forward? Do we do another year like this? But also about, you know, is there a savings culture that can be put in? You know, again, we look at what the government's doing. Well, I'm not here to start saying, you know, who would do a right job, who would do a wrong job. But they're all governments, all parties are going to be looking at what are we spending, where can we save? And it isn't going to be a pretty thing if you're going to cut back on something. So to look at the financial budget, the family budget, and bring your loved ones in with it as well. Let everyone know what's going on. Don't, for goodness sake, tell everyone's it's hunky-dory. And you're the one that's carrying all that financial stress the minute you walk out the door. And the minute you come home, you've got to try and park it outside the front door and pretend that everything's happy. So bring everyone in. As we come to the end of the financial year, for the self-employed, have just paid their self-assessment. For companies, it could be gearing up for paying value-added tax, paying their VAT and paying their corporation tax. So again, working out how do I put money aside, making sure that I'm not surprised by what bill is facing me. And yeah, once we've done that, is there any, and if there is any surplus, well, how do I best manage that money? We've got a huge change coming forward. You know, we're only 4 months away, April 2015. This whole pension revolution, you know, that allows us to look at any pension scheme that we have, anyone that worked anywhere and had a pension scheme, to potentially take all of it as cash. Now you're going to be taxed on some of it, but some of it is going to be free of tax. But the main headline is the idea of being able to have that money when you can enjoy it and spend it, and that you're able-bodied and able to do what you want to do, but being able to balance and trade that off to ensure that as we get older and as we get into ill health, that our costs will spike, will escalate, and that we've still left some money available, and manage that money so you can enjoy it while you can and able to do so, but you don't go bonkers and mad and spend it all because there's nothing left to look after you later in life. So okay. It's managing that money, and retirement planning anywhere between 5 and 8 years away, maybe even 10 years away from that change of lifestyle potentially. That's when someone needs to start looking at what they've got and where do they want to go.
Okay, let's take a break. We're going to earn us a little bit of money by playing a couple of commercials, Victor.
Quite right too.
And when we come back, we got a record by Rihanna after the commercials. When we come back, I'd like to talk a bit more about pensions.
Of course.
It's Rihanna. I like that. That was Tony Obi's Song of the Week, 1st of October 2012, and that's called Diamonds. This is Bill Hensley with Over to You, speaking to Victor Sachs, our very own HCR money man. Now, Victor, pensions have always puzzled me as to how they work and how you get, you get tax relief when you pay money in, and then you're taxed when you draw the money out. Is that right?
We get some tax relief on the way out as well. So, and pensions are just one of those things that have been with us for many years. And certainly the last change in legislation that we've, really big change would have been in the 80s. But pensions, as we know it, have been with us for must be 70, 80 years in some form or another. A pension scheme itself, the idea, any money that you put in, you will get tax relief. So the government will say, well, you're paying 20% tax. So for every £80 you put into the pension, the government will make it up to 100. If it's 50 quid, then, work out the 20%. Well, look, it's £10. So on that goes. So it's a great way to get, tongue-in-cheek, free money off the government every single month. And that money grows 99% free of tax. Within it, there's some mechanics that kind of says that you can't. There's a little bit of tax that can't be reclaimed on there. I don't want to send anyone to sleep, especially if they're driving. But there is a very tiny element. So it's predominantly free of tax, and at the age of 55, and this is any pension scheme. The laws state that from the age of 55, the doors open on your pension, and you can take a quarter of that fund as tax-free cash, and the rest can be used, as an income payable to you while you're alive, and when you leave this mortal coil, if you leave a person behind, a husband or wife, then they can continue to receive that income until they then die. And that was the rules as we knew it until about 2003, when the need to purchase a vehicle which is known as an annuity. And an annuity is the vehicle that drives out the income based on your age, your health and sex at the time that you want to retire. But it was very quiet and muted until George Osborne stood up and made a big scream and dance and said, you will never have to buy an annuity. So this meant that at retirement, at 55...
Let me just stop you there.
Yeah.
I can hear someone in my head saying, what is an annuity?
Yeah.
Can you just explain what an annuity is?
It's my humble way of doing it. It's a spread bet. It's an insurance company. A guy or a girl called an actuary will look at so if someone has a pension pot of say £50,000, they've taken £12,500 tax-free cash. There is £37,500 left that needs to be paid out as an income. Well, how much? How much income is this going to be paid? What are we basing it on? So one yardstick will be, well, what's the current interest rates? But then it will be, what's the age, health and sex of the people who want this annuity, who are asking for this? And based on those questions of age, health, sex, determines how much you're going to receive. Because someone will take a bet as to when will these two people die. And so how much can we pay out to make a profit? Yeah? And if that person lives beyond that, the number of years, then then the individual is in profit. And if they die before that time, then the annuity company, the company that provided it, is in profit. So you would you'd sometimes see that someone's got to live 18 to 20 years after they've taken they've taken their money in order for them to be in the money. And if they die before 18 years, then the annuity company is in the money, and that's why it's a spread bet. Someone is trying to bet as to when you will both die. But the technical term, it's a life assurance. Basically, it's an insurance policy. What Osborne turned around and said was, we're ripping that up. We are ripping that rule book up. And there was a quote by the Pensions Minister, Steve Webb, that spoke about people who, if they wanted to go and buy a Lamborghini with their money, that they could do. That led to a lot of crass comments. A lot of people in the industry sort of saying, no, you can't go out and say that. But the fact of the statement was, what the rules from 2015 now say is that the same person that has £50,000 in a pension can take £12,500 tax-free, but the remaining £37,500 he can take as well, but it will be classed as if he's earned that income. When I say he, I mean he or she. It's, so if that person has earned £20,000 that year, then for tax purposes, he's actually earned £57,500, because the £37,500 will sit on top of his £20,000 that he earned, which means that some of that £37,500 will be taxed at 20% and some at 40%. If someone's really going to need to do this, maybe they've got huge amounts of Wonga.com loans that are being charged at 40% then ideally, if that same person, has got 20,000 earnings, then take up to the, and 20,000 that year, and £40,000 earned income, you'll still be a 20% taxpayer. And then the following year, take the remaining amount. So if you're going to pay tax, try and keep it that you're going to pay tax at 20% rather than 40%. You could look to taking it at the beginning of the financial year rather than the end, because at the beginning of the financial year, how much have you earned? You've earned nothing. So it's trying to work out what does someone do, but it's such a huge decision. The idea, the concept for a lot of people, unless someone's going to sell their house and live in a box, where most of someone's money will sit and most of someone's wealth will generally be in a property. Now, for someone that has a pension scheme, the chance and reality of 50,000, 60,000, in reality, the average size pension pot, unfortunately, is around £30,000 in the UK. But £30,000 to someone that's earned 8, 9, 10, 15,000 pounds a year, there's a chance to have 2 years' money, 3 years' money maybe in one hit. And it's how does that individual manage it? No matter how much me as an advisor can turn around and say, don't do it. Think about the future. It's very, very difficult for someone that has financially struggled to get themselves. And now suddenly, wow.
Isn't the government digging a bit of a hole for themselves, though, Victor? Because if someone is not going to be having money from their own private pension, and they've taken their 50 grand or 30 grand and they've blown it on a nice car and a cruise and all that sort of stuff, and then they've still got their house, but they've got no income, just their old age pension, they could surely claim benefits as well.
The idea that is, if you read between what Ian Duncan Smith is looking to put out, he's bringing out this universal credit system that says a state pension will probably go up. It will probably, I think, nothing's concrete, but what I'm reading, somewhere around between 140 and 160 a week. Will be a flat state pension. It will be based on a reduced level of.
Is that taxed?
Yeah. So your state pension even now is depending on where you earn it and how the state pension sits with other earnings, will be a taxed benefit. Yeah. So someone's retired and still working. Yeah, they'll pay tax, and the state pension is paid net of tax. What he then wants to turn around and say is, that's it. You've done your 30 years, because at the moment it's 44. 44 years of national insurance contributions. So someone leaving work at 16, by the time they get to 60, you can't leave school at 16 now, so you've got to leave work, you've got to leave school at 18. Or if you do a degree, etc., etc. So 21, 22, if you're a doctorate, 25. You need those levels of contributions. They're looking at bringing in around 30 years of contributions. You then qualify for this 140 to 160 a week, and that is it. It's not law. It's what I'm reading. Please don't anyone call it, oh my God, this is disgusting. What they're saying is, there's the state pension. If you want any more, then you've got to start putting it aside and saving it. This is the mantra. This is what what I'm seeing is being mooted around to come in around 2016, 2017. So someone that takes their pension and spends it all, the plan is for, if they do knock on the government's door or the local DSS or the Department of Work and Pensions and say, well, I've spent all that pension money, can I have more, please? The answer will be no. That's what they're planning. So the idea of, you'll now just got your state pension and that's it. So the idea of managing a pension pot, of putting it in brine, pickling it, preserving it, giving you the income that you need to be able to sustain you now and for the future, is so, so important, because it's just so easy to just go and take it and go do what you want, to then find that, if you did this at 55, by the time you're 60 or 65, when God willing you might still have 20, 25, 30 years in you, you know, medication, drugs, etc., is keeping us alive and keeping us going. You know, gone are the days when I was brought up, and Bill, I'm sure you were the same, it was 70. You got 70 years, and anything beyond that was a bonus, and you worked until you were 65, and you retired, and by 70, you were dead. That's no longer the case as we all know it. And people are living in the 80s, 90s, 100. As I said in one of my shows, that they reckon a baby has already been born in America that will live to 115 years of age. So now, park that forward. That may be a horrific thought to a lot of people, but once you know, if you took your pension at 55, you could still be alive 40 or 50 years later. And somehow you've got to manage and live. And it's a great thing. It's a great discussion. I'm seeing, you know, I'm talking to lots of people about pensions, not the day before their retirement. I'm talking to them. It's 10, it's 15 years to go for them. They can see that there's things that need to discuss, and also retirement now is a process. It isn't we stop work, we give up, we don't continue working. More and more people, it's a chance to up periscope. We live in that submarine. We do what we do. Retirement gives us a choice to come to the surface and look around and say, where am I? Where do I want to be? Have I done it? Right, do I need to carry on working or not? We don't stop work and take the pension and put the slippers on and sit and watch TV anymore. So retirement becomes a process, and it's, you know, trying to get people to understand it. It's a process, and asking people out there to, you know, talk to us guys is always going to be, you know, talk to a financial advisor. The only person that you can talk to is someone that's got accreditation for investment and pension, you know, and that's a diploma qualified advisor. Anyone beyond that, fantastic. But talk to someone who can give you some advice, and most of us, including myself, will give you a first meeting free, and just lay out your pension stuff in front of someone and go, what do I do? And that's what we do. I didn't mean for that to be a pitch. I apologise, but
that's okay. That's what you're here for, mate. to sell yourself. That's why you're paying to sponsor this programme.
Oh yes.
Well, we're going to take a break for another couple of commercials, Victor, and we're going to come back. Oh, after that with the Four Seasons. I like that. And when we come back, I want to talk about saving money and saving money tax free in ISAs.
Yep.
That's Four Seasons and working my way back to you, babe. This is Bill Hensley with Over to You. A very big good evening. Welcome along to the show. I was speaking to Victor Sachs, our very own money man. Victor, ISAs.
Yes, sir.
What does it stand for?
Individual savings account.
Right.
Previous to that, we would have had PEPs, personal equity plans, TESAs, tax exempt special savings accounts. So the government likes an acronym or three, but ISAs was the merging of TESA and PEP, which were conservative-driven investment incentives. Labour government decided, no, let's bring them together as an ISA. Although traditionally you had a cash ISA where you could save so much in, and an investment ISA where you can invest in stocks and shares and investment funds. And now again, 2015, lots going on. Well, in fairness, that the new ISA allowance has already been in place, where you have a £15,000 allowance that can be made up of money held in a bank account or building society account, basically cash, and money held in stocks and shares, investment funds, and you don't have to be. You can have £1 in one and 14,999 in another. You can have £15,000 in a cash-based deposit-based ISA.
I thought it was about $3,000.
No, it's £15,000 the allowance is now, and that's per adult over the age of 18. So, if there's some money there and you trust your kids and they're over the age of 18, then you can, there's 4 ISA allowances to be used each and every year, assuming that someone's got 2 children.
And how many years can you run them for? Forever?
Yes. So, and it's, as you rightly said right at the beginning, you're looking at tax-free, Should we say tax paid? There'll be someone out there who'll know when. Again, I don't like getting involved with complications, but it is tax paid rather than tax free. When someone invests in investment funds, so these investments that have stocks and shares within them, as a fund manager, the person who oversees it buys and sells the individual shares, there's a little bit of tax that's applied that can't be claimed back. It's only a very small amount, but that's the difference between tax-free, as it would be if it all sat in a bank account, and tax paid. So it's a subtle difference. So we term investment ISAs as tax efficient rather than tax free.
So let's forget the shares and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Right. If I had 10 grand,
Yes.
and I thought it's under the bed, right, and I thought, what am I going to do with that?
Nothing. You can't do anything with that.
I could put 10 grand into an ISA.
Yeah, you could. There'll be a small problem that you need to get over, and that will be walking into said financial institution with said £10,000 that had come out from said box under said bed, because someone's going to ask, where's this come from?
What about if I went in with 5 grand?
Having worked for a bank for 18 years, if it's not a normal transaction on a day-to-day basis, and a bank has to ensure, any bank, any building society has to ensure that what is going on is not money laundering. So the bank will ask various questions. Where's this come? What is this money? Where has it come from? The bank has to ensure, and we'll go back a number of years. I'm sorry if I'm going off tangent. When we saw the war on terror first rear its head for us, which would have been when the Twin Towers went down in 2001, it became apparent that various terrorist organisations were funneling money through people's bank accounts, or people were paying money in, and then it transpired that actually this money was going through a series of transactions and ended up where no one really wanted it to end up. So anyone doing an unusual transaction, at the end of the day, where's this money come from? If it's come from under the bed and you're trying to put it in a bank account, get it into an ISA, and then maybe in a year's time take the money out, and you're going to get a cheque from the bank or building society, and you're walking out, you've basically laundered money. Is how a bank or building society may well look upon that transaction. Now, we've gone completely away from the tangent, but the idea of having cash is probably the most difficult thing to get rid of unless you can prove where it's come from.
So if I had 10 grand under the bed,
I'd keep it there and go and enjoy yourself.
No, I mean, could I put £1,000 in this month?
Again, about 25-30% of bank transactions are checked by the Financial Conduct Authority and higher powers. And if it is, well, where's this come from? Someone can do what they want to do, but you've got to be aware: is that norm for Mr. Hensley to pay £1,000 cash in each month?
Right. So if I wanted to put £10,000 into an ISA, I'd have to write a cheque for it.
Yeah. If you turn around and say, okay, I want to use an ISA this month, use my ISA allowance. Well, where's this money coming from? Even if it's an inheritance, even if it's a bet win, if someone wanted proof of where this money's come from, you're going to have a betting slip, you're going to have a lottery ticket, you're going to have something that says somewhere where this has come from, even from the company, from whoever's paid it. So
are you best like sticking £100 a month in out your savings? That wouldn't be questioned.
Again, listen. It's one has to sit there and say, a bank or a building society may ask someone, if you're going to fill out a form, there'll be various forms. Where has this money come from? Is it part of your wages? Is it part of your salary? Is it an inheritance? Is it a savings? Has someone given you this money? There may well be questions that are asked as to where this money's come from. That's this, and we'll draw the line and leave it there. Certainly,
I'll leave it under the bed, Victor.
I would leave it there. I worked, and I know I've been having people sort of send me some messages on Facebook, and there's people that are listening now that used to work with me at the bank, and we used to see people walk in with suitcases and open it up, and there's the cash, and they say, okay, let's pay that away, and you just wouldn't touch it with a barge pole. You know, where has this money come from? And they couldn't tell you. So, you know, at the end of the day, the bank themselves find themselves in a potential reputational risk, because in the Hunt's Post or any other newspaper will be such and such bank took this money in and it was found to be. So if it's under the bed, leave it under the bed. But ISAs, fantastic investment. If you're, you know, self-employed, employed, they're tax-free, they're tax efficient, don't have to be declared on a self-assessment tax form. A great way to save money. Anyone over the age of 18, if you're looking to invest in stocks and shares, can go in. Anyone over the age of 16, in their own name, can have a cash ISA. My son, he's 3, he has a junior ISA. I'm in a fortunate position. I don't, you know, child benefit comes through. I'm very fortunate we can put that to one side for him. And if I really want to, I could split that down. I could actually do a pension for him, because pension schemes are available for anyone 0. So any grandparents out there, rather than making a gift, you know, rather than making a gift of Call of Duty 7 or whatever it is, or an Xbox Okie Dokie games machine, you know, set up a pension scheme for your grandson. If he's 2 or 3 years of age, he's not going to get that till he's 50. When you look at stock market growth over the next 50 years, go back, look at it, you know, the grandchild's retirement is sorted by a gift now. All they've got to worry about is when they leave school or when they leave college to when they become 55. They've got to fund themselves.
Right. Good. We're finished there.
Good. I'm sure people have had enough and the brain's going.
I'm just going to go and spend it.
Yeah, please do. Yeah.
Victor, finally, we got 2 minutes left. You are going to walk the length of Hadrian's Wall. Yeah. In a nutshell, why?
My son, as I say, he's 3. When he was 1 year old, he had open heart surgery at Great Ormond Street, and they said that if he didn't have the operation, basically one side of the heart was 3 times the size of the other, and it could go bang, basically. Did a fantastic job. Thank God he's 3. He's fine. He goes once a year for checks. And I've been wondering, what the hell should I do? I can't score a goal. I weigh 268 pounds. I can't do the 3 Peaks challenge. I can't run marathons. And one of my clients says to me, why don't you walk Hadrian's Wall on the 2nd to the 6th of March? Because it'll be my 50th birthday on the 6th of March. So that's what we're doing. Why, I have no idea. But I'm in training now, so if you see some big bloke walking around Brampton at about 5 or 6 in the morning, it's because I'm doing a 3 or 4 mile walk in an hour to try and get my run rate up. So say hello. And honestly, you know, I will look a bit stupid at 5:30 in the morning. And if anyone wants to find out more, I'm hoping the website is live. It's www.gosh5015.co.uk.
Right.
All right, so www.gosh,
Great Ormond Street
Great
Hospital.
Ormond Street Hospital. Right. So gosh 50, which will be my age 15 next year, .co.uk. The story is there, and if you know people, you know, that say no company owners or anything else that want to get involved and help and support us, it would be fantastic.
How much do you reckon you'll raise?
I do not believe in doing, you know, something very dainty and, I'll just do that. I'm going to I will raise £10,000 for Great Ormond Street Hospital. That's my goal. That's my target, and it starts in the next 24 hours when that website goes live. I'm hoping it's live now.
Brilliant. And people can sponsor you on that?
Be a beautiful thing if they can. If it's a company, then obviously a charitable donation is classed as a business deductible expense. And anyone that sponsors us, and they do have a business, will put their website on our sponsors page with the link to their website. So as a way of saying thank you.
Brilliant. And how's your son now, by the way?
He's 3, and he's hit the terrible 2s about 6 months after he should have them. So I'm delighted to be sitting here with you, Bill, and not being at home, as my wife is probably trying to get him into a bath right now.
Victor, thank you very, very much. Have a great Christmas and a really good New Year.
You too, and to the listeners as well. Thank you.
Lovely. Thank you, mate.
Cheers.
That's it from me, and that's it from Victor, our very, very own money man.